My coworker reported me to HR for harassment because I eat sexy potatoes at work. Now she's starting a war with me, but I am not backing down and reported her to the boss. My whole life, I've been eating potatoes by microwaving them, then biting into them, eating them hot dog style. This is the easiest, most convenient, and intuitive way to eat potatoes. I think this is how people in Japan eat them, or at least, how my Japanese parents taught me to eat them. Whenever I go to a grocery store, I always pick out the most easily bite-able potatoes, which are generally longer and thinner than most potatoes. So I work in an office of about 30 people. We all typically bring our lunch, and I usually just eat at my desk while working. No one has ever commented about how I eat potatoes, but I eat them frequently. A new person was hired recently, and she has a problem with how I eat potatoes. A couple of times, she pulled me aside and asked me to eat potatoes more normally. I asked her what she meant. She was eating potatoes too suggestively. I was shocked because I just had my eyes glued to my screen whenever I ate and barely paid attention to how I ate. I told her no one else seemed to have a problem with the way I eat potatoes, but she insisted others were just too polite to say anything. I asked a few other coworkers, who all were just as confused as me about what she was saying. I figured no one else had a problem with it. But this happened multiple times. She kept coming to me and asking me to tone down the way I eat, even accusing me of going out of my way to choose sexy potatoes. I've considered bringing them other ways, but this is just the easiest way for me to eat them, and they're honestly delicious like this to me. I asked her to maybe just not watch me eat, but apparently, that's just not feasible. Unfortunately, she reported me, and now I have a meeting with HR next week. Update: so I had a couple of meetings with HR. The first one was on my own yesterday morning, alone with the HR woman. According to her, a coworker had reported me for sexual harassment and creating a hostile work environment. Not going to lie. After hearing those accusations, I was honestly pretty scared. Sexual harassment is a really serious charge. I was allegedly making lewd gestures while eating, despite repeatedly being asked to stop. I told her exactly what had happened. I was eating potatoes the same way I always had in my 4 years in this office. No one else had ever had a problem with this until now. The new coworker, let's call her Karen, approached me, telling me I was eating potatoes inappropriately and told me to eat them another way. I explained to her that this was how I grew up eating them and would not stop. If it bothered her, she could, and should, look away. I continued eating potatoes this way, and over the next several weeks, she kept complaining about my potatoes every time I ate them this way. As I explained my side, I could tell HR was getting really annoyed. I don't think she believed this was all there was to it. She pressed for more information. Are you sure you didn't do anything to make her believe you were being inappropriate? Are you sure you weren't harassing her, even unintentionally? I told her I never even talked to her unless it was about work or if she approached me first. HR thanked me for coming in and told me she'd get back to me. I think she met with Karen after that. Then later in the day, we met with the three of us. Karen says that I lied about not doing anything to make her uncomfortable. After the first time she came to me, asking me to eat my potatoes differently, I dismissed it as a joke. Which I acknowledged because, who wouldn't take it as a joke? Then she claimed that after each time she asked me to tone it down, I escalated by choosing increasingly sexy potatoes to eat in front of her, by which point, I'm pretty sure HR was trying hard not to roll her eyes. I responded by telling Karen the first gave zero thought about her when I bought my potatoes and selected them based on ease of cooking/eating. She accused me of making eye contact with her while I was eating, which I think I did every time she watched me eat, because it's really uncomfortable having someone watch me eat. Which I explained, and told her I had repeatedly asked her to stop watching me eat. She then pointed out that no one else eats potatoes this way, and the only reason I would do so is to try to be provocative. Which I swear to God, HR almost laughed at her. I just showed her a video of Japanese people eating potatoes with your hands and biting into them. HR woman knows me and knows I'm not the type to harass someone or deliberately make a hostile work environment, and at the end, she just said something like I'm sorry about the misunderstanding. Perhaps it would be best to look another way while your coworker eats. Trying to politely tell Karen to get her head out of her ass. Then Karen tried to turn it around by claiming I was making a hostile work environment by telling our other coworkers bad things about her. But literally all I had done was ask others if they were uncomfortable with the way I eat, and explaining why I had asked them. She tried yet another angle, claiming that the way I ate them was a COVID risk, and that I was jeopardizing the office's safety by eating this way. HR then said that if she was so concerned, she was welcome to work from home, as is currently company policy. Eventually, Karen conceded she had nothing left, so we were all dismissed. Later, I talked to my coworker who had stopped bringing curry because of Karen, let's call him Surya, about my problems with her. He had been unable to eat his regular Indian lunches in the office because of her. We were both extremely annoyed, and honestly, I just felt extremely uncomfortable being in an office where she was constantly judging Asian people's food. So I decided to file a report with HR, as suggested by many of you. I pointed out how she was harassing Asian people for their food choices and many of her comments towards me were bordering on sexual harassment. Surya agreed to bring curry for lunch today, and, in solidarity, I brought some too, along with my potatoes. Karen didn't comment at all, but she did give us dirty looks and made disgusted faces a few times. I got called into a meeting this afternoon with my boss, who is also one of the company's founders. He confessed that he didn't like Karen either and that she had multiple complaints about her within the first month of her being hired. And that he had hired her as a favor to his wife, because she is his wife's cousin and had lost her job due to COVID. He apologized to me on her behalf and assured me that he would talk to her. I decided to keep my harassment claim with HR, and have another meeting tomorrow. We'll see how this goes. Thank you all for your tips and suggestions. I will keep eating sexy potatoes for the foreseeable future. Update: for some reason, she was always really annoyed by this and claimed I was sexually harassing her by eating potatoes suggestively. Then reported me to HR for supposedly escalating over the weeks by deliberately choosing to eat increasingly sexy potatoes. She had also previously given another coworker, Surya, grief for bringing Indian food to the office, and he stopped for a while. I decided to file a counter-complaint to HR for cultural insensitivity and sexual harassment. So something I hadn't mentioned in the original post is that I'm a gay woman, which is known in the office. However, I didn't mention this because it wasn't relevant until now. Karen lost it the other day when Surya brought a lovely tikka masala to share. She's done this before the pandemic and the kitchen is separate from the rest of the office, so you can't actually smell anything microwaved unless you're in the kitchen. She said it was really rude of him to keep bringing curries to the office and that no one confronted him because they were trying to be polite. He said in his home country, really well-spiced curries were extremely common. People bring them/microwave them in the office all the time, and it's among some of the most popular takeout foods. He had no reason to believe it wouldn't be the same here. Karen snapped back that we weren't in India, but Surya just said he was from London. Karen didn't really have a response to that. Karen confronted me in the parking lot after my HR complaint, claiming I was trying to spite her with the hard-boiled eggs I had eaten at lunch, even though I'm definitely not the only one who eats them in the office. I guess eggs are now too sexy too? She said my harassment complaint was discriminating against her for being Christian and I was making her deliberately uncomfortable by throwing my sexuality in her face, but she knew she couldn't say that because she'd be called homophobic. I honestly had no idea she was uncomfortable with gay people, but she said that my putting a pride sticker on my laptop a few days after she started working here was the start of my escalation. According to her, my behavior was retaliatory to her having Bible verses on her desk. Then here's the kicker: apparently I was using my girlfriend, my relatively high-pitched voice, and my eating to get men in the office to lust after me, implying that Japanese/Asian women try way too hard to be sexually appealing. I would have gone off on her for being homophobic and racist, but I was tired and told her if my existence was bothering her, that's not my problem and she should just work from home. I also subtly mentioned that maybe this was why she was laid off from her last job. Well, she filed another harassment claim, saying I was targeting her for religious discrimination. Like, goddamn, I just want to eat my perfectly innocent food in peace. And somehow it turned into a whole religious and racial war. I told HR what had happened, and then Karen claimed I was trying to paint her in a bad light. My boss later talked to me privately and apologized. I think Karen is now working remotely since I haven't seen her since last week. If she ever brings up anything about my innocuous eating, my sexual orientation, or my race again, I'll definitely file another complaint with HR, but for now, I think I'm content with eating sexy potatoes and eggs in peace.